I'm going to still have my anchored, I'm still flat. I've got it 45 degrees, but I'm going to drag it back this way. So kind of get that surface smoothed out a little bit. It's a little bit easier than trying to go in right away from this side. It's awful easy to grab too big a bite here, and then you can kind of tear things up. But this way you can kind of get the feel of where it meets the road. And once you get kind of smoothed out, you can then do a variation on a cut where this time we're going to go across this way. But the important thing is what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the bevel with the direction I want to cut as straight as I can, so that we're going to go all the way across there. You can make a nice flat surface that way. It's a very useful variation on the cut to do. Okay. Now, normally you might have to measure this, but I cut this to be a 7.5 inch blank, so I know it's about 7.5 inches. So what I want is the thickness of the wall to end up being about 10%. So with 7 inches, that's about what, 3/4 of an inch? So I'm going to mark here where I want to cut back to on the wall thickness. If I'd remembered to bring my ruler with me, I would have measured it for 3/4 of an inch, but we've made an estimate.
Thicker's better than thin.
Exactly. If you get too thin, especially with some woods that tend to warp a lot when they dry, you don't have enough wall thickness left to turn it round. So a little bit thicker is the safe way to go, without a doubt. As you do more and more, and you learn which woods do that more, so you become more aware of that, when that can happen. But nonetheless, so now our job is to simply do this. The important thing is whether it's a little thicker or not is not as important as you get your wall thickness as nearly as you can, even all the way down. Because that allows the thing as it dries not to get stresses because one part is thicker than another. So the more important thing is to get a nice even wall thickness that's thick enough that you can get around again in the second turn. That doesn't want to move very easily. Okay, now I'm going to come around here. Now what we want to do is get our tool rest adjusted on height, so we're cutting so the cutting point is pretty much exactly on center, as near as you can make it. Now at home, you don't have a lot of room with this one, but I bought some collars, some little round, like you put around pipe collars you can tighten on, that I can put on the tool post on the tool rest and adjust that, so I just kind of drop that in there and tighten it down, and it's at the right height. I can change it easily because it's just a set screw to change it, but it works very well. If you don't want to spend the money on the little pipe clamps, because I've seen them anywhere from $2.50 to $10 for the same thing. I don't know why the difference in price. But you can also just use the kind of little band clamp they use to put old hose to pipe, and put that around your tool post and it does the same thing. And it's cheap. Can we get this off of here?
The tailstock?
Get this off.
That post is still in or not?
Yeah, do it.
Is that post still in there, Greg?
There's a switch on the flight, right?
That post is still in there, what do we need? What size Allen do we
Oh.
need? Get that out of there.
It just threads out.
Thread.
Maybe if I just take the center out first, let's see if that gets it. That'll work. Okay. I like long handles on this big tool, so that's the thing. Now again, there's a couple of ways you can do this using that Ellsworth technique. Basically, we're going to make the same roughing cut we started with going into the center. So we want to start here at the center, anchor it against the tool rest, turn it to 45 degrees, and just begin to push it down. And begin to take this at this time. Now, if we were turning a dried wood bowl, and I'd done everything I'd done on the front side to this, at this point, by the time I turned around going here, I'd resharpen the gouge. With the wet wood, that's really not necessary. What you'll notice is when we get to the next phase, and we're doing dry wood all the time, we might sharpen the gouge 3 times before we're done, just so we keep it in a good working condition and get the quality of cut that we want. But for this, we can just hog it out. A smooth cut, start up at 45-degree temp, start it in, and just kind of push them with this hand and pull them back with this one and follow on that curve. Again, this is one of those places where wood is fun because the shavings just fly out and pile up around your feet. And with a bigger bowl, I mean, they pile up around your feet.
You gonna show us how deep to go?
Yep. The important thing is to know how deep you want. So we want the bottom here to be the same thickness we were talking about at the top. So we want the simple gauge is take a pencil and hold it on the edge here and get over the side and say, I want to go, so it's like 3/4 in, and that means I'd have about 1 inch left to go going deep. I've only got like a 3/8 of an inch here on the wide, so I'm going to be trying to cut more of the depth out rather than anything else. You can buy all kinds of gauges that you can use to measure this. Is Don Davis here?
Yeah.
He's made one that kind of mounts there on the lathe that you set up against your jaws when you start out, and you just kind of slide it up into there, and you look down here and see how far it is from the base of the headstock here, and tells you exactly how much you have left to go. Really slick thing. And, I've said I'm going to make one for, what, a year and a half since I first saw you demonstrate it? I do have a kind of a T-handle thing I made where I can slide a stick in and out. So I can put this one, the flat stick goes against here, and I can measure that and do the same thing. And, but it's not as slick as this. This is good. Okay. Almost there. Okay. Almost there. Okay. Now, a couple other little things to deal with to kind of prevent cracking going on. We've got fairly sharp edges here and here. It's a good idea at this stage, just take your thing and just round those off a little bit on both sides so you don't have any sharp edges. But it just makes it easier for a crack to start there for some reason. And, but we'll do that. We got the thing down to about the level we want here. We got if you feel my fingers, it's got a fairly smooth thickness on the whole wall. And now we're going to do those corners, and then our next step is put it in 2 paper bags, one inside the other, and let it dry for 2 to 6 months. There's some things you can do in between. You can, every 2 weeks, you can weigh it. When it quits losing weight, it's dry.
And flip them.
And flip them. Turn the bags over every couple of weeks. Sometimes it takes longer than that. I found one going through my bags at home that goes back to 2008. And I think it's dry. But, yes.
Did you show folks how to, on the inside of your cut, how to start that cut? So that it,
So I thought
it doesn't back up?
Yeah, okay.
You did it, but
I did it, but I don't know if I talked about it. Okay. In starting that cut, similar thing to what we did when we were cutting across the grain, you want to start the bevel in so that it's pretty much going straight in. If you get it over here too far and you're not really braced, it'll sometimes tend to back up on you and knock that edge out. The way to get around that is start that over at that side, get about a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch in, and then begin to rotate your handle at 45-degree angle. So it looks more like that. You start it here, go in, roll it over. Anyway. Okay, let's knock these corners off while we're at it. Okay, tool this way.
Hey, John,
Yep,
move that light where it's pointing right at where the tools touch it. You'll be able to
is
see
that
it.
better?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. We're going to roll this over, so we're going to make almost what's called a shear scrape, which we'll use later on for final cutting. And just with one wing of the tool going against that corner, and the other one, not quite, but almost touching, just drag it across there and take that hard corner off. And then turn it around, do the same thing over here. Once the wood gets dry, we'll use that cut later so you don't have an edge here to cut your finger when you brush against it, because it'll be sharp. Anyway, that's a rough cut bowl.